Welcome back to another episode of the Chicago White Sox franchise. And we have a big episode today because the plan is to get through the entire month of July, which would get us through two very big milestones for us as a rebuilding team, the draft and the trade deadline. We come into July with a record of 25-59, which puts us 2 games above the 2024 White Sox, the 121-loss White Sox. So we're finally outpacing last year's team by a little bit, but I will say that massive 21-game losing streak from last year's team is coming up very soon. So we've got a chance to gain some ground, hopefully. But the focus today is very much going to be on the draft and on the trade deadline. We did kind of start making some moves last episode, though. It was actually 2 CPU-initiated trade offers that I accepted, which I was not expecting to do. But we swapped Michael A. Taylor for Rob Ref Snyder. But then the really good trade that the CPU offered me was Cleveland wanted Matt Thaiss, and they gave me relief pitcher Trevor Stephan. And at a 77 overall, Stephan is already my best relief pitcher in the bullpen. He also came to us with an ERA in the low 2s. He's already gotten that now under 2 with the White Sox. And most importantly, he's on a very team-friendly deal for the next 3 seasons after this one. And all that was for a 71 overall Matt Thaiss, who was massively outperforming what he should have been doing this year. We also then made a corresponding move with that trade. I traded Penn Murphy for Nick Montgomery. And the only reason I bring this up now is because I didn't realize how funny it was at the time that we acquired another Montgomery. We're building a fleet, but I plan on making a lot of trades today. I've updated my trade block. We've got Dustin May, Slater, Rob Ref Snyder, Martin Perez, Mike Tauchman, James Karinchak, Travis Jankowski, and Mike Clevenger, all that I'm looking to move. I do want to do a couple of things with the roster before we get started today. The first thing I have to do actually is send back down Corey Julks because Chase Mydroth was activated from the injured list, so we gotta balance out the rosters. But then to kind of further prepare for the trade deadline, Mike Clevenger, we've been using him as a starting pitcher, and he's actually been really good this year. A 2.82 ERA in 9 starts, 17 games overall. So what I want to do is, since we've been using him as a starter, since his attributes profile more as a starting pitcher, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to change his primary position to starting pitcher. And not only is that going to reflect what he's actually been doing, but since he is more set up attribute wise to be a starting pitcher, this is going to bump up his overall by a lot. So yeah, just making that move. He went from a 69 overall relief pitcher to a 77 overall starting pitcher. Now with the draft and the deadline happening today, I don't really plan on having a massive emphasis on gameplay today. But man, to start the month, us, the worst team in baseball, is taking on the Dodgers, the defending champs, with Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the mound in LA. I think I want a little piece of this game, so we're gonna get things started by actually playing in our first game of the episode. All right, but here we go. The White Sox in LA taking on the Dodgers. And all right, he threw 2 splitters in the zone that I took, and then I at least tried to check swing at that one. Ooh, I was almost all over it. You gotta be on that. You gotta take advantage of mistakes, man. And, well, that time I wasn't so much on that curveball. This is looking like more of the same on GOAT difficulty with this White Sox team. I am excited about this, though. I think this will be my first time using Shane Smith this year, and he's actually, he's been solid. Maybe not quite as much of a revelation as he seemed to be in real life, but 4.5 ERA, decent strikeout total. There we go, and he gets a strikeout to lead off the game. And that's right to Vargas at third. And now we got to deal with Shohei. 25 homers here at the start of July. Broken bat, another chance for Vargas. That is a 1-2-3 inning for Shane Smith on the mound against defending champs. And I get a fastball right down the middle on a 3-2 count. Apparently I dropped the PCI. It didn't feel like it. Ooh, Sosa's on it, and it drops in nice. Look at me. That's not a great PCI, but that fastball was up on the inside corner, and I got a round on it. Oh, yeah, I don't really know what I could have done differently. I was just fooled from the start on that pitch. Oh, and that's a tough take right there. Good pitch, good spot. Probably shouldn't be taking. All right, good slider there. Gets another weak contact result. And we get Will Smith down on 3 pitches. And another strikeout looking this time on the slider. 2 perfect innings with 3 strikeouts so far against the Dodgers for Shane Smith. Impressive. Oh, that was a weird pitch. Splitter at the top of the zone on a 3-2 count. I actually swung well for it. It just didn't break down into my PCI. Vargas with a perfect. That's going to be a 1-out double. I was contact swinging there on a 2-strike count, so perfect swing only came off the bat at 92, but that's all it needs to when it's getting to the gap. Come on, let's do something here. And man, I got a round on that too. Does that have a chance? No, I thought maybe it was going to get over his head. It will get Vargas up to 3rd. 2 outs though. We need a base hit to bring him around. And no, that doesn't get through. Oh, that would have been so nice to deliver a run. I am going to go ahead and simulate to the end of this game, though. See what maybe we can do against the Dodgers. Do we have any sort of chance? Maybe not after a Mookie 2-run homer and then an Alex Freeland solo. Oh, boy, the 4th inning. All right, a Tauchman, was it 3-run double? I don't know, we got 3. I thought only 2 were on, and then Shohei comes back. Getting 2 of those runs back. We get a 3-run homer from Brooks Baldwin. This one's interesting. And we're not able to complete it. 7-6 loss. We battled, though. We fought against maybe the best team in baseball. All right, well, let's go and simulate the rest of this series. My Droth is fully healthy now, but we just lost 11-1. Maybe My Droth's return can help us not get swept. It does. We win 4-3. I don't know what it is about final games of series. Maybe the biggest thing there is Dustin May put together another good start. He actually had a decent month of June after he got off to such a bad start with us. I think I calculated he had like a 3.50 ERA in June. We've got the Rockies up next, who are a surprising 41-46. All right, game 1 is going to be a critical situation. Let's hop in here. We've got a shutout going with Martin Perez on the mound. He's looking to go CG in Colorado. 78 pitches in the bottom of the 9th inning. What a start, man. Half his energy left, a 3-run lead. I mean, what might this potentially do if we can cap this off to his trade value? And there we go, a strikeout on 3 pitches for out number 1. I just checked too. Tauchman hit a home run. Austin Slater hit 2 doubles. If we can keep getting good performances from people that I'm looking to trade, I mean, I don't know how much it would do, but any little help to what our potential trade values could be is a good thing. There's out number 2. And a grounder up the middle should do it. I think that's an 89-pitch complete game shutout for Martin Perez. Trades are happening, though. The Red Sox trade away Alex Bregman to the Nationals. Boy, here we go, I guess, with the CPU confusing trades. Why would the Red Sox trade away Bregman? They're in contention. I guess maybe he's been, well, he hasn't been bad. He's just regressing in only his hitting for some reason. And why would the Nationals trade away 2 young players to get Bregman? I don't think the Nationals are competing. All right, I'm going to go ahead and finalize my last week of scouting. Hopefully I did well. I'm excited to see how this draft goes, especially since discovering seemed to work out better than I thought it would. All right, let's see if we can win this series against the Rockies, and we do. We pick up another win in a final game of a series, 6-2. Well, I'm not gonna lie, I accidentally did something there. I meant to check the box score of that win, and I think I accidentally clicked Sim Season, and then I know it said a trade offer popped up, but I like panic closed out of it because I was trying to stop the sim of the season, so we'll never know what that trade offer would have been, but we have ourselves a critical situation now in game 1 against the Blue Jays. We got 2 on, we're down by 2 with an out in the bottom of the 9th. Benintendi's got a couple hits on the day so far. He could end it with 1 big swing if he wants to. Oh, that's going to move him up. That is a huge thing to happen right there. Wild pitch. 69 speed on second. Benintendi could tie this game now with a base hit. And he's going to hit a perfect. That's on a contact swing, though. Does it have the carry? Oh, it doesn't. Why do I only get my perfect swings on contact swings on GOAT difficulty? And Talkman can't come through, man. We have a perfect swing with great launch angle, but it can't go. It should have been the win. It was another solid outing, though, from Dustin May. All right, I guess I also didn't see, but we did take game 1 of the series in my accidental simulation. So we're up to 29 wins. We're actually off to a pretty solid start to the month. We're at a 500 record at 4-4. Another series finale. Can we get another series win? We do, a 9-2 victory. All right, we got our last series before the break here. 4 games against Cleveland at home. Game 1, we lose 8-1. Game 2 is going to be a critical situation. It's a player lock, though. Benintendi's got a 13-game hitting streak. We got to try and keep it alive. And down 2 here in the bottom of the 8, we can get ourselves on base, bring the tying run up to the plate. Oh, I chased a splitter. That's not gonna extend a hitting streak. Almost beat that out, actually. That would have been nice. All right, we got to win game 3 if we want to not lose this series, and we don't. And I guess it's time for the draft, because the only 2 options I have are go to draft or simulate. So it's happening right now. So let me go ahead. Let me set up my my board. This is time. I am nervous and excited. I really want Boone O'Rourke. We have him fully scouted, and we have him ranked as our 5th overall prospect. We have the 10th pick, but the overall consensus rank is 33. So I'm hoping that that means he can drop to us at 10. Looks like a really solid lefty bat who's also really good potentially in the field. These bottom 2 here are both discoveries, so neither of them are ranked in the overall consensus, but we have them ranked. I mean, they're both ranked top 10, although Bruno's only 55% scouted. I have them on my board now. I don't think I would take them with the 10th pick, even if all these other options get taken, which I doubt they do. I just want to make sure I don't forget about them, but I'm very curious to see how long they last. I've never really messed with discovery since this became the way that scouting worked, so I'm kind of flying blind a little bit here, but that's what makes it fun, and that's what makes it exciting and nerve-wracking. But I think I at least have my plan for my first pick right now. So let's move on. Let's get started with the draft, and let's all cross our fingers that Boone O'Rourke makes it to pick number 10. So here we go. It's Washington, it's the Angels, and it's the Mariners that get the top 3 picks, and they should be the 3 that get animations. So let's just not see Boone O'Rourke in these top 3. All right, that's not Boone. Michael Temple is the number 1 overall pick, starting pitcher. The number 2 overall pick for the Angels is Rod Wellington. Well, he was on my list. He was kind of one of my backup options if we didn't get Boone. All right, that does kind of have me worried about Boone's capabilities of making it down to me. He's not picked, though, at 3. That goes to Darren Perez, center fielder. Consensus rank 3, but we have him ranked 33. And now from here on, we don't see any special animations. We just gotta wait. The Blue Jays, they take BJ Lopez. He was also on my list, but Boone's still there. One more pick. Come on, Reds. Don't break my heart here. They didn't. They picked a starting pitcher. Boone O'Rourke is mine. Starting overall of 66 to 81. The potential 78 to 93, so it should be a B. You'd hope it hits in the, well, you'd hope it hits at the top end, but it should hit at least in the middle. Solid bat. Great glove. I am very excited to make this my number 1 draft pick here. Let's make it official. Boone O'Rourke, you're coming to the Southside. All right, we are on to my next pick. And throughout that entire time getting there, I was adding players to my board. They consistently got taken, and the only 2 left are my 2 discovered guys. So I might end up taking one of them. I don't know, but I don't really have anybody else that I have scouted enough that really feels like they'd be a steal here at pick 40. So it's not really like I'd be passing up on somebody that I know about in favor of one of these discover guys. So I think I'm just going to take one of these discover guys. We're going to trust our scouts. Kevin Parks, scouted up to 100%, is ranked 10th. According to our scouts, if we can trust him, he's ranked highly enough that we could have taken him with our first overall pick. I will say, I don't think his present and future attributes look all that impressive. The fact that he's 20 and the starting overall could be in the 50s is a little worrying, but the potential should be pretty high. Hopefully we get lucky with his starting overall, and hopefully we can trust our scouts all around, the discover scouts and the whoever scout was responsible after he's discovered. But Kevin Parks is our number 2 pick in the 2025 draft. All right, it's time for my third pick. The timer goes down to a minute, which I really wish it wouldn't. Bruno's still there, but I still kind of want to wait and see if he lasts a little bit longer. I'm thinking I might take a risk here. I might take this Chad Powell. We only have him 45% scouted, but in that 45%, he's ranked 53. This would be the 77th pick. He does have very large potential in starting overall windows, but he's a lefty with 5 pitches. If we get lucky and he hits at the upper end of those windows, this is going to be a very good pick. So I'm going to give this a chance. We're going to draft Chad Powell with our third pick in the draft. Oh, and here we go. Right after that, 2 picks later, Bruno got picked. So I guess that's our answer. I was kind of hoping he would make it to the next round. So I guess this is going to be really telling when we go back and look at the final draft results, because if Chad Powell, if that risk doesn't pay off and Bruno ends up as good as our scouts were trying to tell me he could be, that might have been a very costly pick. All right, 4th round pick, and I know who I'm going here. I thought about taking him with the last pick instead of taking that risk, but he's still here, so that makes me feel a little bit better about taking that risk on the last pick at least. But it's Juan Meza. It's a relatively safe one, potential of between 75 to 81, starting overall in the low to mid 60s. But most importantly to me, he has a high starting stamina. Seems like it's guaranteed to be at least an 81, which you kind of need because stamina doesn't really improve. Also a hard thrower, pitch velocity is his highest attribute, 5 pitch mix on a starter. So Juan Meza, he's our 4th round pick. All right, well, we're on the round 5 pick here, and I gotta make a decision real quick. Do I go another safe starting pitcher that we actually have ranked 61 at 70% scouted, but nothing looks that great about him, and his starting stamina is going to be in the 50s, which isn't good for a starter? Or I can take this Jeff Morales, who is going to have a high potential, but he's also going to have a low starting overall at 21 years old. I think I'm going to take Jeff Morales. I think I'm a little bit more intrigued by the high potential, even with the low starting overall. So we'll go ahead and we'll take him. Another left fielder, another outfielder. All right, it's the final pick. This Johnny Ryder dude is still there, who we had ranked 61. I am just so off put by the low starting stamina that I'm going to take another complete risk, because we do have a guy here that I think was part of our very initial round of discovery. First baseman Jack Diaz. He has a upper window of potential at 99. I don't have much faith that it'll be anywhere close to that, but it's the last round of the draft. Let's pick him. Why not? Jack Diaz will be our last pick of the 2025 draft. All right, and that's the end of our first draft. And I feel like, just without knowing anything extra, without knowing any extra information about potentials, I feel pretty solid about it. I think in the past, when I've done drafts in my March to Octobers and stuff, I can kind of get stuck just picking a bunch of safe starting pitchers, because it's just, for whatever reason, it seems like you end up knowing more about starting pitchers at any given time than anybody else. But I'm really happy with Boone O'Rourke as my #1 pick. I'm really intrigued by my 2nd pick, Kevin Parks. And this one, I mean, this could end up being pick of the draft if our scouts are right and he's as good as he can be. From that point on, though, it's a lot of risk. So it kind of, well, not Juan Meza. Juan Meza could be solid. You know, he could end up being like a back end of the rotation type guy. But we'll just have to wait and see what the final consensus is, what those potential ratings are, what the initial overalls are. For now, let's worry about not getting swept in a 4-game series against Cleveland. Let's go ahead and sim this Sunday game, and we get swept. And I guess it's immediately making me decide if I want to participate in the home run derby. I doubt we have anybody. I'll sim it if we don't have anybody, and we don't have anybody. All right, and since we're at the All-Star break, hi, by the way, this is me like a month later, really staying on top of this series. But since we're here at the All-Star break, we're going to take a second to look around the league here, look at some of our stats. Start with the standings, and it's the Twins way out in front of our division. They're having a really good year, 64-33. They're almost the inverse of our record. Guardians and Royals are above 500. The Tigers have slipped from where they were last year and where they ended up in real life. Over in the East, it's the Orioles out in front. Well, then how about this? I mean, this is like totally flipped almost. The Yankees and the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays at the bottom of the division, 39-58. Out in the West, you got the Mariners out ahead. The Rangers are doing solid, and then it drops off from there. So the wild card, you've got Cleveland, you've got the Rangers, and you've got the Royals, with the Red Sox right in the mix for now. Over to the National League, you got the Phillies in the East, the Mets are there, the Braves are there, the Nationals are only a game behind 500. In the Central, it's the Reds. They're like one of the best teams so far this year. Then finally the West, of course, it's going to be the Dodgers in first place, Padres 12.5 back at the break. But I believe that leaves us with pretty comfortably the worst record in baseball right now at 30 wins, 67 losses. I want to take a quick look at our stats first though before we go into league leaders, and I think I'm actually going to go position by position just real quick. But when it comes to starters, man, right now Martin Perez is probably the best we've got. I guess you could make the case for Clevenger too. Shane Smith in his rookie year is doing okay. 4.69 ERA isn't all that impressive, but his strikeout numbers are pretty good. 109 strikeouts, 88 innings pitched. Sean Burke's rookie season is not going quite as well. That ERA is up over 5, and he doesn't have the saving grace of a good Ks per 9. Already kind of touched on Clevenger, but he's done really solid as a starter. We'll be trading him. Same with Dustin May, who has been doing a little bit better as of late. The 5.50 ERA doesn't look good. Our bullpen, though, moving to relief pitchers, has actually been pretty solid. It's got to be the biggest strength of the team this year. Just sorting by innings here, but Mike Vasil has the most innings. It's also his rookie season. He's doing pretty solid as the long reliever, but Jordan Leisure, he's got the next most innings at 53. How many appearances does he have? 48 appearances at the All-Star break. And he's doing good, too. A 2.85 ERA, barely over 1 whip. I mean, when it comes to a future bullpen, guys in the 70 overalls can more than get the job done. I mean, we're seeing that right here with Leisure. Brandon Eisert's also doing pretty solid at a 3.66 ERA as a lefty out there. Cam Boozer, another lefty, another solid year so far. Trevor Stephan, who we traded for, ERA at 2.14. Bryce Wilson at a 64 overall has got a 2.72 ERA as like the second long reliever. The only one who hasn't been doing great is Justin Anderson. Oh yeah, and then Fraser Ellard. Can't forget about him. He's our closer. 2.27 ERA. And that's him falling off a bit too. All right, I don't want to let myself get too carried away looking at stats, but our catcher situation right now, Edgar Caro's been really solid since we've called him up. Vaughn is our only first baseman on the roster. He has been bad. I was kind of hoping with his hitting attributes not actually being that bad on paper, I was hoping maybe he could give us a little bit more. But no, he's doing pretty much what he did for the real life White Sox, and I personally don't see any need to get rid of him. He's not on my list to try and trade, is what I'm trying to say. At the second base position, Lenyn Sosa's been... You can't really say he's been great. He's hit double-digit home runs, though, which I guess for this team at the All-Star break is at least something. Chase Maidroth, though, a lot like Caro since he got called up. He's been really solid, 271 average. Vargas at third. I mean, he has the All-Star icon next to him, so I think that means he's going to be our only All-Star. I'm kind of surprised by that. So, like, I don't know. This does not look like an All-Star year. 223 average, not even a 700 OPS. He's been fine, especially for what his attributes are, especially the contact. Brooks Baldwin at short is just holding down the fort for now. Definitely has not been doing great. OPS isn't even at 600. Our left field position, Benintendi has been doing 11 homers, 239 average, not even a 700 OPS. Rob Refsnyder's good though. When we made that trade, it was Michael A. Taylor for Refsnyder that I think the CPU initiated. Refsnyder's been good. I'm hoping he'll get a good trade. Luis Roberts been pretty bad. Kind of the same deal as Vaughn, as I really hoped his good hitting attributes would help him to a little bit better of a year than he's having. But I mean, average not even at 240. He's hitting for hardly any power. I mean, he's got 74, 72 power, which I feel like in franchise mode is decent power. Like that should be high 20s, almost 30 home run type power. He's at 7 right now. Then finally in right field, Austin Slater. He's definitely cooled off. He's actually got the snowflake symbol next to him. Talkman's been heating up. He's actually been really solid lately, and then Jankowski's just our fielding guy, so no need to put too much stock in there. I do want to look real quick at some minor league guys just to see how they're coming along. Starting with Colson Montgomery, I mean, ever since we sent him down, he's been putting up real solid numbers in AAA. The only weird thing is he's not progressing as good as I would have hoped, and actually he's regressing in some categories. We really don't want his vision regressing, and it is. Braden Montgomery, though, he's been doing pretty pretty solid too since I moved him up to AAA. He's up to a 75 overall, just like Colson, his stepbrother. Progression looking good there. Kyle Teal, progression looking good for him too. He's up to a 78. And his numbers are solid in AAA. They're not quite dominant like Montgomery's is. Those are our main prospects down here in AAA, but I also kind of want to point out Brian Ramos just real quick. His progression isn't really anything crazy. I mean, +6 to contact righties and +9 to power lefties is really good. But the year he's putting together in AAA, he's got 14 home runs. He's batting .283, 841 OPS. He's also stolen 14 bases without getting caught. I mean, if that does translate to some progression and maybe even the potential increases, he's only 22. He could definitely factor into our future plans, especially if he's competing with Miguel Vargas. And then, of course, if we're checking in on prospects, we have to check in on the pitchers in AA. Noah Schultz looking really good, progressing nicely. He's got a 2.20 ERA in AA. Hagen Smith, his progression might look better. His overall is higher than Schultz right now. His numbers are not as good as Noah Schultz. And then lastly, Grant Taylor. He also has a 2.20 ERA. His numbers are really good here in AA. League leaders, batting average, Judge, because of course, home runs right now it's Brent Rooker and Judge tied with 29. You got Seager with 28. How about in the NL? 29 for Shohei. Then over to more percentages, Judge leading in on base, Judge leading in slugging, Judge leading in OPS. ERA leader in the American League is Garrett Cole at 2.45. National League is Andrew Heaney with a 2.21, and then Nick Martinez with a 2.29. Clay Holmes 2.33. I guess this technically is our only appearance really in league leaders because Martin Perez has 1 shutout, so he's tied for second place. Strikeout leader right now is DeGrom with 154. National League is Hunter Green. You got 128 innings pitched leading for the AL with Joe Ryan, 135 in the NL with Zach Wheeler. Pitching WAR is DeGrom with 3.9. National League Zach Wheeler 3.2. And then batting WAR obviously is going to be Judge. Gunner's not too far behind, but Judge at 5. Ellie De La Cruz at 5.2 actually. And then Shohei at 5. And this is batting WAR, so I'm guessing that is specifically batting wins above replacement. All right, well, I hope that didn't take too long. I always get carried away looking at stats, but it didn't actually make me sim the home run derby yet. So we want to get in on the festivities a little bit. I at least want to see who wins it, because I don't think we would even see who wins it if we sim. All right, so let's go ahead and sim. Let's just sim to the next round here to start. And it's Seager, Judge, Shohei, and Juan Soto that advance. Fast forward to the end, and Corey Seager is the home run derby champ. All right, next up we've got a trade. The Yankees are trading for Andre Payante, who's an 83 overall. I don't even know who this guy is, and he's an 83 with an A potential. Who did the Yankees just get? All right, well, I guess the trades are starting, but we have the All-Star game now to worry about. And I am going to get in here. I'm going to simulate batter by batter, and then when Miguel Vargas gets subbed into the game, we'll be taking his at bat. But first, let's take a look at the All-Star team here. You got DeGrom, Ryan, Garrett Cole, Tanner Bybee, Pablo Lopez, all-star starting pitchers. In the bullpen, you got Andres Munoz, Chris Martin, Kenley Jansen, Yimi Garcia, Clase, Mason Miller, and Felix Bautista. The all-stars starting lineup for the AL: Julio Rodriguez, Jarren Duran, Aaron Judge, Rafael Devers, Vlad Jr., Brent Rooker, Marcus Semien, Alejandro Kirk, and Willie Castro. That's a really good team. And then let's see him here. Miguel Vargas at a 75 overall, probably the lowest rated all-star that's not in the bullpen. All right, here he is. Miguel Vargas just got subbed into left field. And it also is the 8th inning. They didn't start subbing out the starters, at least in the American League, until the 7th inning. So Miguel Vargas is actually the second dude they brought in off the bench. Am I in the wrong settings here? Hold on a second. What? Yeah, I'm not going to bother now. But, I mean, we are in GOAT difficulty. I did check just to make sure of that. But normally our camera is more zoomed out. So I don't know if it somehow went to my default settings instead of my franchise settings. Maybe let's not miss that pitch, Miguel.
And because of that,
and now I'm chasing up in the zone. Don't look like this, Vargas. I got a contact swing, right? We can't strike out. We struck out. on 3 fastballs in the All-Star game. There's your White Sox All-Star representation. All right, well, we can feel free to sim to the end of the game, and the NL wins 9-3. We got smacked around. All right, we do still have 1 game left when it comes to All-Star festivities. It's the Futures game, and I feel like we'll have some dudes in this one. And actually, yeah, right there, Noah Schultz is the starter. Noah Schultz is the starter, and Hagen Smith is also in that rotation. The hitting side, nobody I recognize. Nope, nobody on the hitting side. So here's how we're gonna do this. We're gonna pitch. I'm gonna technically control the whole team. We're gonna pitch the first inning with Noah Schultz. We're gonna pitch the second inning with Hagen Smith, and we're gonna see both of our guys represented here in the Futures game. All right, so here we go. Bottom of the first inning. Noah Schultz has a 3-run lead to work with here. And have we used him yet? I know we've used Hagen Smith, but now that I'm actually sitting here with Noah Schultz on the mound, I don't think I've actually gotten into a game where he's pitched so far. He's got a kind of a weird pitch mix. Fastball, cutter, changeup, sweeper, and the sweeper's that primary pitch. And we got a chase. 3 pitches to sit down the first All-Star batter we face with Noah Schultz. And 1 pitch later, we got a lazy pop fly to center field. All right, Noah, make this a quick inning. That cutter actually doesn't look, I mean, it stayed in the zone there. Didn't have a ton of break on that cutter. Not a ton of break on this changeup either, actually. A lot of par, too. A lot of shaded region. Can we get through this whole inning without throwing a ball? Nope. Ooh, couldn't really blow the fastball by him, but it is just another pop fly. So a 1-2-3 inning with a punch out for Noah Schultz in the Futures game. All right, and then second inning, we'll get Hagen Smith in here. We're already a little familiar. I've pitched a start with him down in AA. Also a 4-pitch mix here, pretty similar fastball cutter, but then instead of a sweeper, it's a slider as the primary, and then instead of a straight change, it's a circle change. And man, that's going to be an out, but that was kind of destroyed. We don't want to be seeing that. Oh, look at him swing at that. Swing right through it. He was baffled by that. Oh, and we just got taken deep. After that horrible swing, then he turns on the cutter. All right, we got an 0-2 count immediately to the next batter. Try and put him away. Nope. Gotta find the put away pitch here with Hagen Smith. I mean, really, he's had a horrible outing. That hard hit line out and then giving up a no doubt homer. They have been teeing off on him in 2 batters, and now we're doing the same thing as last at bat. Starting 0-2, falling back to 2-2. We put him away that time, and we can thank the bricks there for that not being a drop third strike where he gets on base. All right, then weak contact, though, rollover. I mean, it was only 1 run allowed. I guess in 1 inning, that's not good, but he did fine. All right, well, that's it for All-Star Game festivities then. So now it's trading time. And I'm gonna be honest, I've spent a lot of time, not just in between last episode and now, but also in between the gap of recording the first part of this episode to now. I have compiled a list here of all the trades I want to make. I hope I didn't spoil them, actually. But I have a list. I went through, I targeted some dudes, I pre-planned some trades, which maybe isn't how I should be doing it. You know, maybe I shouldn't spend a whole lot of time getting the perfectly optimal trades. But the point is, I've got a lot of trades here already planned out that I like, that I want to do, so I'm probably not gonna wait 2 weeks until the trade deadline, because who knows, maybe some other teams would swoop in first if I wait too long. I do think though, because it says the next phase there at the bottom is trade deadline prep in 5 days, so I at least want to sim to that trade deadline prep phase, which I think would have us simming through this Pirates series. So let's get that going real quick. Actually, we got a chance to sign our draft picks, and actually look at this. Out of the blue, out of nowhere, I think for the first time, we are not ranked 30th. But we'll have one more outing for Martin Perez and for Mike Clevenger. Both guys I'm looking to trade. So first game against the Pirates, we're going to get shut out, and more trades are happening. Ryan Helsley comes into the division. He's got an over 5 ERA this season, though. But all right, we didn't score in the game before the All-Star break. Now we didn't score in the game after, so we're on an at least 18-inning scoreless streak in the midst of a 5-game losing streak. Can we end that in the second game of the series, we can, and we won with a shutout. Forgot to deal with draft picks the first day. That's fine. We still have plenty of time to do it. We have 11.42 million in our bonus allotment pool. So it looks like Boone's here at a 65% motivation to sign. We can only get him up to 70. Okay, maybe hang on. Maybe missing that first day is a little bit more consequential. They did, I think it looks like, change this up a little bit. I'm going to bump this up 2 to get the percentage up 1 to 66%. See if he'll sign. And he does. So our number 1 overall pick signs at the first offer. Good. Let's see if we can move on to our second pick. Still going to bump it up 1 to get that percentage up 1, because why not? It worked last time. And he also signs. I'm probably not going to offer to everybody right away here. Juan Meza, though, we do have at 90% scouted. He's also 75% motivated to sign. Well, he's actually 89% when we're in here, because the lowest we can offer him is well above what his demand is. So he should, in theory, be all right with this, but no, he declined. All right, well, I'm adding everybody else to the board because they also get scouted as we go a little bit more, but I also kind of don't want to just deal with all of this right now. So let's go ahead and finalize that for now. We got Boone, we got Kevin. All right, let's head back to the calendar now. We've got one more day to sim pass to get to this trade deadline prep phase, which probably doesn't even matter. But let's take this series against Pittsburgh, man. Let's come out of the gate strong here after the All-Star break. We did it, actually. And the Cubs are offering me a trade before I get to do anything on my own. These Cubs Sox trades are always interesting. What do they want to give me? They want Travis Jankowski for BJ Murray Jr. He's a switch hitter and he's pretty much middle of the road everywhere. Now, Jankowski is technically involved in another trade that I had planned to make on my sheet here, but he's not like an integral part. I could probably add just about whoever into that spot of the trade for what I have planned. And honestly, this trade, for what it is, I didn't really consider how good it was, but Jankowski is only a 69 overall at this point. He's 33, he's regressing. But BJ Murray Jr., I mean, he doesn't look like anything special, but he is a C potential. He should get better. He's only 4 overall worse than Jankowski is right now. I think there is absolutely no reason not to accept this trade from the Cubs. And at minimum, we have then somebody else to throw into a trade mix that might have a little bit of value. So 100% accept this trade from the Cubs. See ya, Jankowski. And we won that game 6-2 to take the series, again winning the final game of a series, which we're so good at for no reason. But all right, I think it's time to start letting some of these trades rip, and I am excited. I think I'm just gonna do them all in one big chunk right now. We're gonna throw realism out the window, but I think just about everybody that I said was on the trade block, that I said we're looking to move on from, I have plans to move on from. And we're gonna start with the biggest of them all, Dustin May, because I found a team desperate for pitching, and it's the team that's already there. It's the Baltimore Orioles, first place in the AL East. Orioles, remember, but their pitching situation this year is not looking great. Their starters that are supposed to be good, Zach Eflin's got an ERA almost at 5, Grayson Rodriguez 4.5, Kyle Bradish at a 4.31, and then after that they've got nobody left that's an 80 overall. So they want some arms, and they are banking on Dustin May continuing to figure things out, because he has been starting to figure things out. The numbers have been getting better lately, and we might be about to pull off a bit of a heist, because while they're also desperate for pitching, they also might be losing faith in one Samuel Basallo. Let's not worry about his age potential overall in ratings right now. Let's talk about what he's doing in AAA, because he's not putting up great numbers in AAA, especially for a guy whose attributes are what they are. So the Baltimore Orioles will take Dustin May to try and make a postseason push, and they'll give up Samuel Basallo. And it does take a little bit more. This is where Travis Jankowski came in. He kind of fit as a throw-in player to add a little bit of defense to their outfield, but we can still make it work by throwing in Dominic Fletcher. They're still getting a really good glove if that's what they were after with Jankowski. And I would have kind of liked to hold on to Fletcher, but it's also not like he's the type of guy who's going to factor too much into the future. And I just realized I forgot to mention in all of this, the whole reason why I'm interested in Samuel Basallo isn't to be a catcher. We've got plenty of those. Samuel Basallo is going to be our first baseman. And I mean, on paper, it looks like he should be an insanely good prospect for us, but yeah, you got to keep in mind actual performance. He's not putting up great numbers in AAA, even at almost an 80 overall. And if the plan is to have him be a first baseman, that fielding, it's not that great over there. But for what I hope his bat can be, I'm totally fine with living with subpar fielding at first base. He could also transition to a DH role in the future. This is the first big move of the deadline. We are trading Dustin May and Dominic Fletcher to the Baltimore Orioles for Samuel Basallo, and we've done it. Huge move. All right, now the next move, staying on the theme of flipping guys we traded for, Rob Refsnyder's up next. So the partner I found for this trade is going to be the Seattle Mariners, and they will take him off of our hands for futures game participant Logan Evans. I like the idea of kind of building up the bullpen for the future. I've already made at least one, maybe two, two trades because Trevor Stephan counts. But I've already made a couple of trades kind of looking forward towards the bullpen. I know Trevor Stephan's in there right now, but we also traded for Blake Burkhalter earlier in the year, who's a young guy who's still got to work his way up through the system. But Logan Evans is a little bit more established. He's a 70 overall. He has no service time, 23 years old with a B potential, 5-pitch mix, 99 velocity. So far this year in AAA, he's got a 193 ERA and 37 1/3. I love it. Perfect deal for me. That's trade number 2. All right, next up, we've got a similar player to Refsnyder in Austin Slater. So we're going to be making a similar trade, and this trade partner is the Boston Red Sox, and their relief pitcher who we're trying to take is Luis Perales, another futures game representative here. He's a couple years younger than Logan Evans was. He's also 1 overall point lower, also a B potential. He's not, I will say he's not doing great in AAA, but I'm going to look past that for now. And it's another Sox trade. So I mean, you had the Crochet trade in real life. A couple months later, you have the Refsnyder-Taylor trade. Now we're having the Slater-Luis Perales trade, but we are going to add another should be solid future bullpen arm with this deal. The next trade we're going to make, now that May's gone, it's our next highest overall tradable starting pitcher, Mike Clevinger, and our partner for him is going to be the Texas Rangers. They're in the midst of the wild card race. They're trying to hunt down the Mariners, and their pitching situation doesn't look all that great right now. They've got DeGrom, who was the all-star starter. They've got Nathan Eovaldi, who is putting together a decent season. But after that, Clevinger would be at least tied for the next highest overall in the rotation. So with how Clevinger's been pitching this year, which is really good, that ERA is under 3 after he got one more start, I could honestly see a 3-headed veteran monster of DeGrom, Eovaldi, and Mike Clevinger being kind of decent if they make the postseason. So for Clevinger, we're going to get what might not seem like a ton, but we're going to get Yeremy Cabrera, who's the second player in this trade. We've still got one more to add, but he's only 19, only a 55 overall, C potential, but he's got a lot of time to get there. Decent contact, especially against righties for being a 55 overall. The vision, discipline, and clutch are also fine for being a 55 overall. The fielding looks like a good foundation, 70 speed. But then the bigger one we're going to get here is Paulino Santana in center field, an 18-year-old. So he's got all the time in the world to develop, and he's kind of just solid across the board. So kind of a couple dudes, you don't know what they're going to turn into, but again, for a guy like Mike Clevinger, who really, as good as he's been doing this year, he could have just as easily been doing terrible, and we'd have no value for getting rid of him. So anything we can get for him, I think, is good. The only thing is I would really, instead of Paulino, I would love to get this Elorki Rodriguez. One, because the name is just so much better. But also, look at what he does. He's kind of like a center field version of what Chase Mydroth is right now. They won't do it. They value him just a little bit too much for us to get him and Cabrera. And I don't really just want to get Elorki for Clevinger. I kind of at least want to take 2 guys that are long shots to develop into something good instead of just one. So Paulino Santana it is. So let's go ahead. let's lock in another trade. And we're not done yet. We've traded 2 starting pitchers. We've traded 2 outfielders. So how about this time we trade both at the same time in the same trade? This time we're looking to package Martin Perez and Mike Tauchman together in the same deal. This trade partner is the New York Yankees, who, I mean, maybe don't need a guy like Martin Perez. He would at best be their 5th starter. I know he's not as high of an overall as Clark Schmidt, but Clark Schmidt has been real bad. They're also getting Tauchman. I'll be honest, I don't really see how Tauchman fits in their outfield either, but this was actually a suggested trade when you hit square like this and do all that. So I'm not arguing with it. For Martin Perez and Mike Tauchman, the Yankees are prepared to trade away Everson Pereira, which, if I remember right, the White Sox just traded for him in real life too. I know he was supposed to be a big deal prospect. He kind of flopped a little bit. He's regressing here. He's not having a good AAA, so we're hoping to maybe turn him around. They'll also give me Yorbit Vivas, young 23-year-old, see potential 65 overall. He actually looks pretty solid. I mean, he's got solid contact, solid clutch, solid vision. And then finally, to finish the trade, Kyle Carr. He's another C potential, 22 years old, 62 overall. Not really expecting a ton from him, but you never know. He's a lefty. Kind of, again, you know, temper your expectations. We're not trading away stars or anything, so it's not like we're going to get back huge prospects. I think getting a guy like Everson Pereira and hoping maybe he can turn his stuff around, I think that alone makes this trade good. We're also getting a potential future good backup infielder guy, and then somebody who might be a long shot but could also maybe turn into a decent lefty in the big leagues. He at least has good stamina. So go ahead, finalize that trade with the Yankees, and I have one more. But the final trade, I actually found a team who values James Karinchak a little bit. I don't know if I want to deal with him, especially with the progress I've made trading for a couple bullpen guys so far. Some of our bullpen guys have also developed pretty decently so far to start this franchise mode, so I don't really feel the need to hang on to Karinchak and hope he doesn't walk one batter an inning like he did. And it's the Cincinnati Reds who want him. They are vying to be the best team in the National League so far right now. They need a little bit of bullpen help, so hopefully Karinchak can give that to them. When he's on his game, he's good. He's just got to be on his game. We're not getting much flashy for him. This is similar to the Clevenger trade. We're getting Arnaldo Lantigua, right fielder, who has the entire infield as a secondary position. But again, another teenager that's a C potential, low overall. You don't know what he could potentially turn into. So we're getting him, and we're getting the same deal, shortstop, 18-year-old Liebert. I don't know. Now, he's way down there to 51 overall, but he is 18 years old, and what I really like about him is he already has a really good glove. Hitting might take a while to come around, but if you've got some value somewhere, you've got some value, and we can get him for pretty much nothing. So we're making this move, and I think that does it. I think that checks off everything I had on my piece of paper here. That was a lot, but I wanted to do a lot. That was one of the things that I said at the very beginning of this franchise, is I wanted to try and get something out of just about anybody on this roster who was only here for like this season, who we didn't have much team control over. I wanted to get at least something, even if it's somebody like a 51 overall Liberts Aponte. At least that's something that could potentially turn into something in the future, instead of just, you know, having a guy on the roster for a losing season and then not having him anymore. So I know we still have 9 games, 3 series left here in the month of July, but I think I'm going to go ahead and call this one here. I'm sure it's been plenty long enough with how much I've been rambling in the second half, but I've got a lot of roster stuff to do with all those changes. We got to fit everybody in everywhere. So yeah, we'll go ahead. We'll call this one here. We'll take care of the rest of the July next time out. We'll probably play through most of August, and then probably just one more episode from there. That's the end of season 1. I know I say this every time, but I really want to do more with this series, man. I know it's December now. This series already got off to a late start, starting it at the end of July, but there's no reason that this should only be episode 5 coming out at the start of December. I still, for those of you that are still watching, and for my enjoyment, because I really do enjoy when I actually play this series, I want to continue it. I want to develop some sort of consistency. The fun of this series is going to be once we get into future years, which I know is going to be so late. But if I can find a way to not take a month in between episodes, we might actually be able to get there. So I'm gonna keep trying. But for now, guys, thank you for watching. Thanks again for sticking with me, even though this series has been, I was gonna say all over the place, but I guess technically it's been the exact opposite of all over the place, because it hasn't been. But I hope you've enjoyed what I have been able to come out with. I hope you're still somehow excited for a potential future to this series, but I will see you guys next time.